One of them is from the book that you have seen before, every event of the year, Volume 1, January through June. One of the poems I'd like to share with you from this book, what is that holiday for? It's not holidays or events for the year, and you would have to look at the table of contents to know what day this was, but this was written on the day that Jean-Baptiste Lamarck had his evolutionary lecture in 1800, but it happened to also be the same day, 20 years later, that the USS Beagle departed with Charles Darwin, which was the big thing for him learning and going to Galapagos Islands and the origin of species and blah, blah, blah. And based on that, I wrote this poem. It's called Exploring Evolution. You speak of wanting a melting pot and how everyone should get along. But historically, we moved away from others, made religions, learned new languages, and adapted to different surroundings. Therefore, as time wore on, we all evolved to make us all different. But then again, when it comes down to evolution, we all came from the same place. So believe me when I say that the world really is one giant melting pot. I've been wrapping my head around how I've evolved over my life and how the history I know of my roots expanded and evolved with the passage of time. So today, in May, I wrap my head around this, and then I realized that on the 11th, in 1800, the French naturalist Jean-Baptiste Lamarck outlined his theories of evolution in his lecture at the Muséum d'Histoire Naturelle in Paris. But on that same day, 20 years later, in 1820, the HMS Beagle was launched that would take Charles Darwin on his famous scientific voyage, which led him to writing his natural selection book on the origin of species. Now, atheists may say that evolution contradicts religion, even though both Darwin and Lamarck believed in a God and thought religion and evolution can exist together in peace, which is probably like that melting pot you're hoping for, where everyone would all just get along together, which really is a splendid idea, if only people would understand that we all came from the same place. Because even though we're all different, it's all because we're all evolving. But at the same time, I have released a couple of books in the past, poetry collection books, based on a word that John made up. Because if you can be attracted to somebody's pheromones, maybe you'd be attracted to my memes or my words. And so this is book number 3 of the Pharaoh Memes series, and it has haiku and Twitter and a bunch of short pieces in it as well. And the reason why I think this book is cool versus the other 2 books, which were of poems that I'd written when I'd first moved to Texas, but not only are they all in 14-point size, which is nice and big and easier to read, especially in dark places, but if they appeared on Instagram, I just randomly picked a page. I would have the image that came with whatever poem was in it. So there are a lot of images throughout this as well. So I thought I would share with you a poem from this, as I'm just throwing it anywhere. And this poem is called Even If Only. We hosted a party at our home, apparently a get-together of sorts, although I haven't hosted a party in years. There were a lot of people there. A friend of mine and her husband came, even though we no longer lived in the same state. And all I remember is that she was saying to me that he was there, that man who was actually my date at her wedding, the man who does live in the same town as me, that I haven't seen since before moving here, much less the 15 years before I moved. Across the room, he moved his hair out of his eyes as he turned to the door. He wasn't leaving. He was just turning with the mass of people at apparently my insanely popular party. So I tried to decide if I should talk to him. He was once the world to me before he up and disappeared from my life. But we had so much of a past together, and does he even know that I'm here? So with trepidation, I walked toward him, making my way through all of these guests. When I got close to him, I can't even remember if I said a word to him. Our eyes just happened to meet. I cannot remember speaking to him. I'm not sure if he immediately spoke to me, but we had gone through our own separate ways. There was no turning back from the choices we made. But when the crowd of people in the room separated, it started to move us. He took my hand, and I held his, because for this one moment, at this one party, we should be around each other, even if only for a moment. It was a dream I had about someone. It was a dream that I had a party, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write this thing. The man that used to host the open mic that I took over in Chicago, he started doing dreams poems. I'm like, I'm gonna remember to do that. If there's just some weird dream, I'm just gonna put it down. So that was my dream. And now I'm going to share with you a poem. In the effort of writing a poem every day of the year, one of my friends in Chicago who knew that I wrote a poem for every element in the periodic table told me of a contest that was going on with Chemistry and Engineering News Journal Online. They said they wanted Twitter-length poems, and I said, well, I've done that. So I started churning them out, a bunch of them, and I didn't know what the timeline was. I was just sending them, and I'm going to make a collection for it. It will come out, it will be done, but I found out that they actually figured out the contest winners, and one of the ones I sent in took third place, which blew my mind. So you just kind of come up with something in 280 characters. So I'm going to share with you Magnesium Burn. Magnesium is number 12 in the periodic table, because I know you all wanted to know that. This one is called Magnesium Burn. When your fire starts, you're impossible to stop, burning brilliant white, even underwater. Seeing your fireworks, snapping my flashbulb photos, I feel that your intensity is also a part of me. You make my heart beat.